Your favorite NFL team's biggest weakness. Probably something you want to look into.
Coco! Cock-a-doodle-doo! Does that sound like a bird to you? Huh? It's my biggest weakness. I can't make bird noises.
All 32 NFL teams have several weaknesses on their roster. Heading into the 2021 draft, I mean, it's a big thing. But with limited draft selections, which positions do they need to especially prioritize? Here is every NFL team's biggest need heading into the 2020 NFL draft. Arizona Cardinals, cornerback. The Cardinals made the wise decision to move on from the past his prime cornerback Patrick Peterson. Still, his departure leaves a gaping void at corner that must be filled. Adding former Pro Bowler Malcolm Butler was a nice start, but he alone isn't going to fix this secondary. The good news is that the Cardinals are in an excellent position to come away with one of Patrick Surtain II, Caleb Farley, or J.C. Horn with the number 16 pick in 2021. And believe us, they need a cornerback considering how many stud pass catchers reside in the NFC West. Atlanta Falcons, defensive end. Deion Jones led the Falcons in sacks, with only 4.5. Yeah, this defense needs some help off the edges. Many expect the Falcons to either trade the number 4 pick or use it on Matt Ryan's successor. They most certainly won't use it on a defensive end. But the Falcons will need to address this position at some point in the draft. Otherwise, good luck making some noise in a division that consists of 3 other high-powered offenses. Baltimore Ravens, wide receiver. Marquise Brown hasn't panned out yet, and the Ravens only picked up Sammy Watkins in free agency. Lamar Jackson really needs a capable game-changing wideout here. Rondell Moore, Rashad Bateman, Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, and Terrence Marshall Jr. are among the many notable names that should be there when the Ravens pick. Buffalo Bills defensive end. A.J. Klein and Mario Addison each tallied 5 sacks last season, tied for the team lead. That's just not good enough for a club looking to build off an AFC Championship appearance. The Bills didn't do much in free agency to address their need for pass rushing help. Must mean the GM Brandon Beane will make his move in the first round. Jason Oweh, Gregory Rousseau, Azeez Ojulari, and Jalen Phillips should all be atop the Bills' wish list. Carolina Panthers cornerback. Carolina traded for Sam Darnold, so we can assume they won't take a QB with the number 8 selection. They're unlikely to take a corner that early, but it's certainly a position that they have to add in the draft. The defense has 2 promising young stars in Jeremy Chin and Derek Brown, but Carolina has to deal with a plethora of explosive pass catchers in the NFC South. So they should keep an eye on the likes of Asante Samuel Jr., Greg Newsome II, and Aaron Robinson, if they're available early in round 2. Chicago Bears, quarterback. The Bears will have to trade up from the 20th spot if they want to get one of the top quarterback prospects. With all due respect to Andy Dalton, he's not the answer to Chicago's never-ending search for a franchise QB. The Bears have to come away with a quarterback in the early rounds. If they miss out on the big fish in round 1, make a move for Kyle Trask or Davis Mills on day 2. They have to stop letting these opportunities slip away. Cincinnati Bengals, offensive line. With a number 5 pick, the Bengals have the opportunity to select Penei Sewell, but who knows? They may find it tough to pass up on the likes of Kyle Pitts and Jamar Chase. The good news for the Bengals is that this class is deep with quality offensive linemen. They can always address Joe Burrow's protection in the 2nd and 3rd rounds. Cleveland Browns, linebacker. The secondary was Cleveland's main weakness until they signed former Rams John Johnson III and Troy Hill. Adding more pass rushing help was also a must. And then they brought in Jadeveon Clowney. With those moves done, the Browns can focus on adding a starting caliber linebacker to solidify a defense loaded with playmakers. Micah Parsons is out of reach. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, Jamin Davis, and Zaven Collins are among the many options that could be there at 26. Dallas Cowboys, cornerback. Aside from Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson at 1 and 2, Patrick Surtain II to the Cowboys at 10th overall seems like the most common mock draft entry. Luckily for Dallas, the 9 teams ahead of them probably won't prioritize the cornerback position. So the club in desperate need of a true shutdown corner should have their choice of whatever they want. Denver Broncos, quarterback. Broncos management continues to voice confidence in Drew Lock, but it's hard to think they're fully sold on him. They're 1 QB upgrade away from contending again. And if someone like Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields are available, how could Denver not take a quarterback? Don't be surprised if the Broncos trade up from number 9 to get one. Detroit Lions, wide receiver. You can argue that the Lions have more flaws than any other team, but they especially need a receiver after losing Kenny Galladay and Marvin Jones in free agency. The Lions are in great position to get one of Kyle Pitts, Devontae Smith, or Jamar Chase at number 7 overall. They can't expect Jared Goff to shine in his offense with the current group of pass catchers. Green Bay Packers, wide receiver. Here's your daily reminder that the Packers desperately need another receiver. They ignored this need at last year's draft and once again stayed quiet in free agency. Could you imagine if this high-powered offense had another playmaking pass catcher to take the pressure off of Davante Adams and Aaron Jones. Houston Texans, cornerback. If not the Lions, it's Houston who has the most roster weaknesses. They've consistently ranked near the bottom third of the league in pass defense, and it's time to take action. The draft capital is limited thanks to Bill O'Brien. They won't pick until round 3. At any rate, it's imperative they come away with at least 1 or 2 corners. Trade up if you have to, but they cannot take the field in 2021 with their current depth chart. Indianapolis Colts, defensive end. Having DeForest Buckner in the middle of the defensive line is nice and all, but the Colts need to supply him with some help off the edge after moving on from veteran Justin Houston. The defensive end position is deep in this class. If GM Chris Ballard prioritizes it, he'll definitely come away with the can't miss in round 1. Jacksonville Jaguars, quarterback. Well, yeah, they're taking Trevor Lawrence first overall. If they're not, well, they're stupid. Quarterback will technically be the Jaguars' main weakness. Kansas City Chiefs, linebacker. Now that the Chiefs have addressed their offensive line by acquiring Joe Thuney and Orlando Brown, they can move on to other weaknesses, like the middle of their defense. The Chiefs have playmakers along the defensive line and in their secondary, but what they truly lack is a high-caliber linebacker who can patrol the second level of their D. They don't have a first-rounder, but they have 2 seconds. If they can nab either Kentucky's Jamin Davis or Missouri's Nick Bolton, it'll be mission accomplished for Andy Reid and company. Las Vegas Raiders, cornerback. The Raiders moved on from 3 offensive linemen this offseason, but cornerback remains the need here. This team ranked 30th in scoring and 26th against the pass last season. 2019 first-rounder Jonathan Abram hasn't panned out. Damon Arnett was a reach at 19 last season, but the Raiders can't give up. They need to keep on trying until they hit the jackpot. They have 3 picks over the next 2 rounds. At least one of those needs to be used on a corner. Los Angeles Chargers, offensive tackle. The Chargers added All-Pro center Corey Linsley in free agency, but they could use more beef on the offensive line. Protecting Justin Herbert long-term is a must. They're probably not getting Penei Sewell, but Rashawn Slater or Christian Darrisaw should be there for the taking. Los Angeles Rams, safety. The cap-strapped Rams lost John Johnson III. Free agency does that, and they couldn't find a suitable replacement. They also don't have a first-round pick because of the Jalen Ramsey trade. The Rams had the league's best defense last season, but the unit will take a step back if they don't address the safety position. They're not getting Trevon Moehrig, but other intriguing prospects like Ardarius Washington, Elijah Molden could be there in round 2. Miami Dolphins, wide receiver. Yes, they signed Will Fuller in free agency. It's a great move, but he hasn't been able to stay healthy and you just don't know what you'll get from him. And Devontae Parker isn't exactly a high-end number 1 wideout. We fully expect Miami to go with the pass catcher at number 6. Kyle Pitts, Jamar Chase, or Devontae Smith are all possibilities, but it's pivotal that they add another weapon for Tua Tagovailoa. Minnesota Vikings, defensive line. The Vikings only recorded 23 sacks last season. Yes, the pass rush will get better with a healthy Danielle Hunter, assuming he's not traded, but they failed to replace Everson Griffin. Well, this is their chance to do it. Mike Zimmer admitted the 2020 defense was the worst he's ever had, and it won't get much better if they don't add a stud pass rusher. New England Patriots, quarterback. Many were surprised that the Patriots re-signed Cam Newton after a frustrating 2020 season. It's hard to imagine Bill Belichick viewing Newton as his long-term option, which is why many of us expect the Pats to take a QB in this draft. But maybe someone like Jones or Lance will slip to them at number 15, or they could always trade up for their man. Either way, the Patriots need to take their QB of the future while they have a chance. New Orleans Saints, linebacker. The Saints lost several key starters this season because of major cap woes. Most of the offense remains intact, but they have some rebuilding to do on the defensive side of the ball. They moved on from linebackers Quan Alexander and Alex Anzalone. Demario Davis is still there, but he's going to need some help. So expect New Orleans to address this hole with one of their early round selections. New York Giants, offensive line. Nate Solder opted out of the 2020 season, so having him back in 2021 will help. But the rest of the O-line is filled with question marks. And even if Daniel Jones has loaded a group of playmakers around him, he still needs the protection to make it work. New York is in good position to get one of the top tackles at the number 11 spot. It will be a surprise if they pass on this opportunity. New York Jets, quarterback. Same thing as the Jaguars. You know the Jets are taking a QB, likely Zach Wilson. But QB remains the top weakness until this selection is actually made. Philadelphia Eagles, wide receiver. The J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor picks haven't panned out thus far. The good news is that the Eagles can expect to get one of Devontae Smith or Jalen Waddle with the number 12 selection. GM Howie Roseman knows that he has to give Jalen Hurts some weapons if he's to succeed as a starter. Pittsburgh Steelers, offensive tackle. 2 gaping holes in the O-line following the retirement of Marquise Pouncey and the departure of Alejandro Villanueva. The Steelers' offense was sluggish last season with a woeful rushing game and mediocre pass protection. If they want Ben Roethlisberger to stay healthy and effective in what will likely be his final season, they better get an offensive tackle in round 1 or 2. San Francisco 49ers, quarterback. The 49ers are poised to take a QB at number 3 after trading up with Miami in a blockbuster move. Jimmy Garoppolo's injury history and inconsistency clearly prompted the 49ers to seek an upgrade. They'll get one of Mac Jones, Trey Lance, or Justin Fields. Seattle Seahawks, cornerback. Remember when the Seahawks had the NFL's best secondary a while back? Pepperidge Farm remembers. God, I love that meme. The Seahawks had the NFL's second worst pass defense last year. To make matters worse, they lost Quentin Dunbar and Shaq Griffin in free agency. And they lack a first-round pick because of the Jamal Adams trade. Well, good luck winning the brutal NFC West again if you don't find a way to upgrade the secondary at the draft. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, cornerback. The NFL's best rushing defense and resilient pass rush often mask Tampa's leaky secondary. They simply can't expect to repeat with this group of corners, not with so many other high-powered offenses in the NFC. Anyway, the Bucs have the number 32 selection and will have several exciting cornerback prospects to choose from. Taking a corner would put them one step closer to a repeat. Tennessee Titans, linebacker. The Titans' rush defense left a lot to be desired, and they recorded just 19 sacks as a team last season. Yeah, they need someone who can fix both areas. Tennessee should have no problem finding someone with the number 22 selection, especially since most teams ahead of them won't be prioritizing linebacker. How great would Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah be in Mike Vrabel's defense? Washington football team, quarterback. Washington cut ties with comeback player of the year Alex Smith, and their depth chart now consists of Taylor Heineke and veteran journeyman Ryan Fitzpatrick. Washington will have to trade up from the 19th spot in order to get one of the top quarterbacks. Otherwise, they can take a chance on someone like Davis Mills or Kyle Trask in round 2. One simple QB upgrade will make this team a true Super Bowl contender. What do you think is your favorite NFL team's biggest need heading into the 2021 draft? Join me in the comment section below. Make sure to follow myself and TPS on social media. We post great content all the time: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube. We're on everything. Go find us, go subscribe, go follow. If you like this video, give it a like. It takes one click down below. And of course, subscribe to TPS because we post videos every single day. Every day's a new video. Subscribe, follow, do the whole thing. Of course, thank you so much for watching. I'm Jason Biondo. I'll see you next time.
On my knee.